Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I've got, one of the most requested shoes in recent weeks, the KD Trey 5. I know I'm a little late to the party on them. However, I am glad that people in the comments section have been asking for them because there are a lot of pleasant surprises in the KD Trey line, so let's get into them. Now, getting into the uppers, those of you who've been watching this channel for a while will know what I'm going to say first, and that is that I love a shoe with a dorsal retention strap. Now, this one is all meshed out here in the middle, which I like even more because it saves weight on the shoe, but since the sides are paneled, the periphery of it is paneled, it still does give you that really nice lockdown and that nice containment of a dorsal retention strap. So kind of best of both worlds there. And that really does extend into the rest of the uppers. If you look here at the ankle collar, it reminds me a lot of the LeBron Next Gen. Now, of course, the KD Trey 5 came out before that, so I'm guessing they took that design and put it into the next gens. What I really like about that is when you tie the shoe down, these two little Batman ears come across the shoe like in the LeBron 19. That does give you such a nice feeling of containment on the anterior ankle. Now, when you move down here into the toe box, you do kind of have this multi-mesh caging going down into the shoe. That there really is a lot going on, a lot intersecting there. But what's interesting is the shoe does not hold on to heat all that much. If you look at the breathability test, these things heated up 137.4 degrees, but then cooled down 103.6. Normally, you don't see that discrepancy on a shoe that didn't heat up a ton. But when I did have the heat gun on there and I had my hand over it, the entire forefoot of the shoe was just expelling heat like crazy. Normally on shoes, it's just one area. And when you look inside the shoe, the scythe off of there, but if you look inside the shoe, I mean, there's not a lot of open meshing, but I think it's the fact that the layers of meshing kind of are all zigzagging in different directions. Air has a lot of channels to escape these shoes. Now, I will say having them on a pretty hot, muggy day outside for my last time using them, they were trapping moisture more than anything, but heat really not. So I would say in terms of moisture retention, I'd say just middle of the road, okay. But in terms of heat dissipation, really good for a budget shoe. On the upper durability test, 10 seconds, highest grit sandpaper, I mean, the burr just barely starts to get to the first layer of meshing underneath the drag guard. So, to me, if you're putting these on a really gritty asphalt court, yeah, I mean, once you start wearing through the drag guard, it's going to start to rip. But on an indoor court, I think it's going to be just fine. But getting into the midsole teardown, this is why I think this shoe is a really good substitute for the Jaw 1 even. You've got the same rectangular zoom air unit that goes all the way across the metatarsal heads. What I notice on the KD Trey, though, is if you get it one-to-one, we'll talk about in the fit section, that thing really just lines up nice, at least with my ball of foot and my big toe joint. And I felt a ton of buoyancy on these, especially with the Renew foam there, the ETPU-based foam. It's a little bit more lively than some other foams. Yeah, it can feel a little bit harder underfoot. But I mean, if you look at the bounce height test on these things, they got 35.5 centimeters in the heel and then 43 centimeters in the forefoot. Just shows you catch that rectangular zoom air unit in the right spot, it's going to give you a ton of bounce back. Plus, these things have a really thick shank in the middle. It's not the longest thing in the world. It does give the shoe a really nice pop when you're trying to get the shoe going, right? When you're trying to pick up some speed. And, like the Renew Elevate 3, I mean, Renew foam is nice. And now I don't think it's the most durable thing out there. And it doesn't feel like Cushlon or sometimes some of the better formulations of Phylon do over time. But in terms of bounce and in terms of lightweight foam underfoot and performance-wise, especially for the price point of these, you can get some of these colorways at for around $60 US. This is a pretty good midsole setup, at least in my opinion. Now, the outsole tread of the KD Treys is kind of that standard topographical mat pattern. There's a huge cutout for foam here in the rear foot. Yeah, that does save a little bit of weight, but that is going to introduce some durability issues. But I think the best part of the outsole tread, and something you don't really see even on some flagship level shoes, is a really nice metatarsal bar here where the shoe can bend very easily here in the forefoot. Does give the shoe very smooth, super easy transition. And right in that little break point is where the shoe starts to go radial up here in the forefoot, giving these little phalanges of rubber just a ton of grip, even when you're trying to grab just on your forefoot. And that's why even like these, like the Tatums, right, have, the Tatums are meant to be played on the balls of your foot. Well, the KD Treys have access to such easy transition of step, but also these nice little flanges to grab traction, plus that rectangular zoom area, which I know some people don't like, but at a one-to-one fit, it does make the shoe play really nice. So, with some of these, really anticipated Nike releases, you're getting a lot of those same qualities, but in a predecessor to those shoes. And it just seems like this one does a lot of what those other two shoes do, but at a lower price point. And if you look at the speed ratio of the KD Treys, it kind of just furthers my point. I mean, it comes in at a 2.89, and you really feel that on court. I mean, the foam is bottom light and very bouncy. It's got a stiff shank. The shoe is super swift, and especially on those indoor courts, those flanges of rubber give such good grip when you are trying to transition step or when you're trying to put the brakes on and maybe try to change directions on somebody. So yeah, I mean, in terms of speed, that speed ratio is not lying. It is really showing, I think, the true capabilities of the shoe. You just got to watch out for the flip side of that coin. If you look at the Outsole durability test, 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, a lot of you probably could just see this coming a mile away. I mean, it's almost 1.5 millimeters of damage on a 2 millimeter tread depth. This is very soft rubber. Plus, like I said, you got the cutout for foam here in the heel. So you may start to wear these things down pretty quick. On a rubberized court, I think these are just phenomenal because the Renew foam isn't going to be going through the harsh beating it's going to take on some other surfaces. On carpet, these are going to be really good. Indoor hardwood, the grip is really good. On outdoor courts, the grip's fantastic. I had no problems with grip on outdoor courts, even versus on the indoor. It's just that you're going to wear them down so quick. I mean, I can even start to see a lot of wearing here in the forefoot, and I only use these outdoors maybe 3 times. So you are trading off some durability, but also at the price point, you put them on the right surface, you're getting an elite level product. And speaking of an elite product, I think the thing that's really going to be the key to unlocking the potential of this shoe, like I said, is getting them in a 1-to-1 fit. They are pretty hot dog shaped, but they're also a little bit narrow in the midfoot. I had cramping in these pretty much every time I played them. And they also don't have a very wide flange. So a narrow medium foot, just go true to size. I think it'd be fine. A 2E foot, you can go up a half size on these. Just remember, if you're a wide and stubby foot, you're a short foot, you're not going to get that zoom air unit lining up. So maybe just try to break them in a little bit more, right? Wear compression socks or something else to keep them at a 1-to-1. Because at a 1-to-1, that's when you kind of really see the true potential of the shoe. Now, in terms of the snake bitten foot, like I said, the flange is not that wide. And even with the dorsal retention strap, they're still not the best for an ankle sprainer. So I'd say really hardcore instability, I would probably look somewhere else, something with a little bit of a sharper clip on the lateral side. In terms of somebody with ball of foot pain, if you're narrow, that zoom air unit is really forgiving, or even medium, it's really forgiving, but for a 2E, and so like bunions, Taylor's bunions, I'd just stay away from. In terms of someone with heel pain, if you can throw an orthotic in there, I think you're okay. Arch pain with an orthotic, they're okay. Like I said, you just got to be the right profile, that narrow or medium foot, and it really kind of unlocks a wide range of ailments that these are okay for. And when talking about the playability, the best positions for the KD Trey 5s, if you are a lighter weight player who is a very shifty guard, or just someone who wants access to a lot of nimble, swift speed, I know I've used that word a few times in this video now, but it definitely fits with these. I think these are just a tremendous pickup, especially if you're putting these on rubberized or hardwood or carpet courts. You're gonna have access to such easy footwork, such light of weight footwork. I think if you're a really heavy player, you might bottom out. They might start to feel a little bit stiff once that foam starts to compress. They might start to feel just a little bit unforgiving, and you might lose all the best characteristics of them. And the heel, you can put an orthotic in them, but whatever. I think, a center, a really large power forward might just be too much for the shoe, but a lighter weight forward, I think, can really get away with them, especially someone with narrow medium foot. But just the easy access to ankle and forefoot motion on these, it makes these a dream for someone trying to get very low to the ground and then trying to put the jets on as well. So in terms of a versatile shoe and just a shoe that really just doesn't feel like anything on your foot, really just kind of gets out of your way, lets you do your own thing, and lets you use the tools of it, I think these are an awesome pickup, especially if you're looking for a more budget option shoe. I can't think of really a lot better than this right now in their price point. And with all the other shoes that have come out in Nike and Jordan brand recently that, are new signature shoes, and even in the LeBron line, even the next gens, that have kind of borrowed, if not the exact materials, but the essence of the shoe and what it's trying to accomplish, you can really see kind of the family tree coming down from the KD Trey in shoes that have gotten a lot more kind of press recently.
Working on that one.
don't sleep on them. They're to me, this was a super pleasant surprise, and it's interesting to me that like the Precision 6, now the KD Treys, Nike seems to make better budget shoes than just about anybody else. Their flagship shoes are, I think in line, but their budget stuff is way, above where some other companies are. So that's interesting that the more budget shoes is kind of where you start to see the level of engineering that they can put into a shoe with cheaper materials. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on these. I know a lot of people have tried these. A lot of people like them. That's probably why you've wanted me to review them. So let me know in the comments down below your experience with them, durability issues, things like that. Let me know down below. And if you want to check out my top 5 favorite basketball shoes right now, make sure you click into that video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam, and I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.